Okay, a pie sharing company called XYZ. We have 4 shareholders. We will use these cards to represent the shareholders. One of the shareholders is spades, one of the shareholders is diamonds, one of the shareholders is clubs, one of the shareholders is hearts. Shareholder with the spades invests $45,000 into the company. So if each one of these cards represented $5,000, then I'm going to put $45,000 on the table. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Notice that shareholder spade has 9 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Shareholder hearts has 1 card at the moment because they have a $5,000 investment in the company. Shareholder club, the same $5,000 investment. Shareholder diamond, the same $5,000 investment. That investment might be in cash, it might be in time. If an investor spends time cutting trees and earns $5,000, or in this case $10,000, then they get an extra card in the pie. So how many cards do we have in the pie right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards in the pie. So this company with 13 cards in the pie has a net worth of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. $65,000 in this company. Right now, Diamond has $5,000 invested. They have 1 card out of 13. Take 1 divided by 13 and they have 0.076% of the company. So I'll write diamonds as having a small 0.067 right next to it. Okay? We're also going to notice that hearts is the same. So hearts has the same amount of investment in the company. We notice that clubs, he has 2 cards or $10,000 invested in his time. He's been cutting down trees and building log cabins. And he's built 4 log cabins on the property. So he has 2 divided by 13, giving him 15 or 1.153% of the company. And because Mr. Spade, he invested the opening amount of $45,000 to buy the land, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards, or 9 divided by 13, which gives Mr. Spade 0.692% of the company. Now, after the first year, we've been renting out 4 cabins, so we have $5,000 a year for that cabin, $5,000 a year for the second cabin, $5,000 for the year on the third, and $5,000 a year for the 4th cabin. That totals $20,000 income for the year. As a company, we've decided that we're going to take 2/3 of our income and put it back in the company. 2/3, I'm sorry, 3/4. 3/4 of the income and put it back in the company. 3/4 of the company is 3 cards, leaving $5,000 to be divided amongst the shareholders. Is it fair to the shareholders to divide that 4 ways? We have 4 shareholders. We have spade, diamond, club, and heart. Is it fair to divide it 4 ways, with each person getting approximately $1,700? No, it's not. It's not, because Mr. Spade owns 69.2 or 69% of the company. He should get 69% of that 5,000. So 0.692 times 5,000 equals $3,460. Just keep it on the same line. Diamond has $5,000 invested, or 1 of 13, which we know is 0.067% of the company, times 5,000. They would get $335 of that 5,000, because that's what they own in the company, that percentage. That would be the same for hearts. And clubs, because he's got $10,000 invested, or 2 out of 13, he's going to get 0.153% of the money, which would actually equal $765 would be his cut for the first year of $5,000. Now, let's suppose that one of the other shareholders, let's say Hart, decides they want to build a house on the property, and that house is going to cost $50,000. So let's make room for $50,000 in hearts. We still have 5. We're not going to include that yet. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I need 2 more hearts. 45, 50. So let's just spread this out a little bit. It's difficult trying to keep it all in the same same frame. However, you get the point here now. Okay, now let's have a look. Let's say that the second year that we've been in business, we had those 4 cabins, all generating $5,000 each per year, totaling $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for the year. And we again decide that we're going to use 3/4 of our income to stay in the company. And we're going to take the 1/4 of our income and divide it amongst our shareholders. Now, noticing the difference here, the Spade shareholder never changes. The diamond still only has 1. The club still only has 2. But look at the hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now they've got a bigger stake. because they've invested $50,000 in a home on the property or for a home for the company. So let's have a look and see how this $5,000 breaks up this time. So underneath this line here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on a second line down, we're going to put the percentage that each shareholder has. Starting with spades, the percentage of, let's count how many cards we're dealing with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 cards this time. So we have a stake of a pie of 23 pieces. From that, we're going to start with spades. Spades hasn't changed. He still has 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But this time he's going to go 9 divided by 23. And that gives his percentage at 0.391. So underneath this one, 0.391. And from that 5,000, just go multiply times 5,000. So from that $5,000, he is going to get $1,957. Next on our list is Diamonds. Diamonds hasn't added anything to the company. They still have their original investment of $5,000. But they only have one piece of a pie of 23. So 1 divided by 23 equals 0.043% of the company. Times $5,000 equals $217. That's how much of that $5,000 Diamond will get. The next on our list is Hearts. Now Hearts made an investment this year of building a house. That house is included in the company. That means that their investment in the company is greater. That would mean that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces of the pie divided by 23 pieces gives them 0.478% of the company. Our Clubs has 2 pieces of a pie, so they would actually go 2 pieces divided by the 23, which would come to 0.087% times $5,000 would mean that they would get $434 of that $5,000. And if you totaled that up, you got $5,000. That's how it would be divided. Now supposing Hearts decided on the 3rd year to sell their house, or they wanted out. They can't go and sell it to a private person. It has to be sold back to the company. The only way that they could actually receive money from the company is if the money was available to buy them out. Well, we know we only have $15,000 left in the company. The year before that income all went to expenses. So we have $15,000 remaining in the company there. But we do know that we have this investment of 23 pieces of pie at 5,000, which means 23 times 5,000 plus 15,000 equals $130,000 net worth in the company. The company could go to the bank and say, we need $5,000 or $50,000. So the bank would say, you've got $130,000 equity in your company, not a problem. We'll give you $50,000. So we'll just make up 50,000. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. That $50,000 we borrowed from the bank, now we got to pay interest on it, goes to the Hearts. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. This $50,000 home is now owned outright by the company. That $50,000 we got from the bank goes to the shareholder to take home on a personal basis. Now look what happens to the pieces of the pie. So we have 4 cabins now making $5,000 a year. We're going to take 3/4 of them, put them back in the company again with the rest of our company money, and we're going to divide this up. You'll notice now that the Hart, once again, only gets, what did we say to begin with? Only gets $335 of that $5,000. So depending upon how much you invest into the company, depends on how much return you get at the end of the year from 1/4 of the income the company makes. The other 3/4 goes back into the company. So the more you put into it, the more of the percentage you get back. Okay, so keeping in mind that we have, now the company owns a home as well as 4 cabins. They own 4 cabins, which brings in $20,000 a year. And if the home was rented out at $1,000 a month, that's another $12,000. So we're just going to say, we're going to round that up to $15,000 to make it easier, because my cards are worth 5. So that's $5, $10, $15,000 worth of income this time. So we also noticed that the Hart, who sold their home, still has a part of interest in the company. So let's just see how this is going to work out this year when it comes to splitting the income. First of all, we're going to take 2/3 of the income for the year and leave it with the company. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2/3 of that is going to be 5, leaving, right? Is that correct? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 4 times 3 equals 5.5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is correct. That is the company's money. And this is $10,000 that's going to be split at the end of the year. So let's have a look and see what the income is this time. Spade, who still has 9 cards out of 13, gets 0.692%. So 0.692% times 10,000. Spades would get $6,920 out of this 10,000. So as you can see, the more you have invested into the company, the more income you can make at the end of the year. The advantage of buying a home or putting a home on the company property is you get more of the company interest back in your favor every year. And the risk, the only risk you really have, is the same risk that anybody has when it comes into real estate. How much money are you going to get back? A house that you purchase or build for $50,000 today, we know won't be worth $50,000 or is not likely worth $50,000 in 10 years. If it gets flooded out by the lake next door, it's worth nothing. And if it goes up with the regular realtor kind of build up, it's going to be worth more than $50,000. So that risk is whoever builds the house. That's your risk in entering into this kind of a deal with the company. The gain is the more you put into that, the more income you're going to gain from the company every year coming out of it. So if the company is, instead of making $20,000 a year and it turns a profit of $100,000 a year, well, $75,000 $750,000, or should I say $75,000 of that remains in the company, but $25,000 gets divided up. Well, if you want a bigger portion of that divided up income, then you need to put more money or more investment into the company, and that will give you a bigger portion. And that's how a shared pie company works.